All right, we're back here with Lovable Russian, who plays Foxodon Huval in the Dirty 20 campaign, and Yandere Girl 911, who plays the Doctor. How you two
Hello.
doing? How you doing, Lovable?
Lovable?
He's shocked.
Yes.
It's a shock and awe. He's amazed we're having a tavern talk tonight.
I know. It's been so long. Are you sure it's a tavern talk, or maybe it's just more like
He's pulled
you
a,
know,
he's pulled a Mitch McConnell on us. How you doing, man? You okay?
I'm fine. I'm just stuck at a terminal, but I'm fine.
Man, it's been a long time since we've done these. What have you been up to?
It's been quite a bit.
What have you been up to recently? What are you playing?
It's been 50 hours. I've yet to find Boulder or his gate.
At this point, I think it's Pebble's fence.
Pebbles fence.
We bypassed it a while ago.
Alright. Let's see here. Let's get into it. Alright, so the questions for today, I gave them to you, Lovable. I don't know if you let Yandere Girl know the questions or not.
Nope, I'm gonna be surprised.
Okay.
I actually did tell you. It's just I guess mine, but it's better this way, right? So, zero prep time, zero not thinking about it, just going.
Alrighty.
The best versions.
Yeah, well, yeah. I think so. I think so. Alright, so the first question is, how do you run outdoor long rests in your campaign?
I
You can sleep on a rock.
kind of do outdoor long rests and stuff as a massive opportunity to allow the players to do a whole lot of role play and get all of that role play out of the way and stuff is how I kind of run it. Like I let them get the camp supplies, I let them, kind of
Now,
do all that.
do you,
Huh?
do you do that every single long rest outdoors? Like if it's say it's a multi-week worth of in-game time travel, do you break it down every single time, like every night, or
No, because if it's a if they are traveling from one town to another,
yeah?
unless I have a bunch of story things in the way and little things to kind of be an inconvenience to the players, but fun for me. Basically, I just kind of be like, hey, does anyone have anything that they want to get out? You could declare which day you decide to say this, so that way it's not all released in one day and stuff like that. Like if you want to sit there and have bits of roleplay with a certain NPC throughout 7 days.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, if they're just going from point A to point B and I don't really have major things planned, then I just kind of let them go from point A to point B. And try to encourage them to, use those opportunities to roleplay, talk. And also, I do prod a bit hey, when is this conversation taking place? And things like that. So that way I know when does this conversation take place? Like, and the players know. So that way it's either at nighttime or if they're on the road during the day. I don't know if I'm hoping that that's like kind of the answer that you were looking for.
Oh, your answer is your answer. So I'm looking for your answer, and you gave it. So yes.
Well, I mean, like, I'm just like kind of self-conscious and like the long rest thing and stuff because I feel like I handle it
There's,
awkwardly.
there's nothing to be self-conscious about. We're all friends here. What about you, Lovable?
As for me, always and forever. Doesn't matter. But as long as you have a source of food, a rock to sleep on, and optionally dirt, right? You could technically take a long rest anywhere. The only caveats, of course, that I have is, do you have somebody watching, right? Because you can bet your ass that there could be a chance of something prowling out there that may be hunting you, stalking you, or watching you, right?
I always
And
feel like somebody's watching me.
and with
Callie
that,
joined in.
right?
Callie joined in. She loves that song.
And with that, people are not allowed to, redo their spell slots and, put their HP to full until the full rest is over.
It's over, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Since in the rules, right, it does take and because some people have this thing where, if it's it has to be uninterrupted. No, the rules specifically say that you can have up to 1 hour of basically interrupted rest and then just go back to it, right? Which is extraneous activity. Literally, you could, go to sleep for 3 hours, wake up, right? For all intents and purposes, because I don't know, a freaking army came about, and for some god awful reason, you can fight off this army of, I don't know, kobolds. Why not? Something easy. Why not? And do that for literally, right? Since every round is 6 seconds,
Yeah.
for about 1,000 to 10,000 rounds. The equivalent of 59 minutes and 54 seconds. Right? And then you complete the combat, and then you just say, all right, I fall on the ground and go back to sleep. Okay, cool. You can finish your long rest now.
Session 17 of this one particularly long rest.
But I mean, generally speaking, that's how I do it, just because you can have that 1 hour of strenuous activity, and it doesn't affect your long rest. Now,
rules as written, it's actually 2. You're actually allowed to have 2 hours out of the 8, and that's
okay.
strenuous.
No, okay. So specifically, you can have 6 hours where your character has to be essentially sleeping, 2 hours of uninterrupted light activity, right? But no more than 1 hour of strenuous activity. And then it gives examples such as running, hustling, fighting, casting spells. So there's technically a 1 hour caveat on top of everything.
Yeah.
It's
excuse me.
But the moment you get to that, basically 1 hour and 6 seconds, you've broken the long rest.
Yeah.
For the strenuous. But generally speaking, I mean, I know there's better way to do it and whatnot. Of the whole long rest gets you all to full HP. You could have basically a broken leg and then boop, you're fine.
Oh, yeah. I don't like that. Yeah.
Now, I'm more, I mean, if I could, I would run long rests more. What we like to do, at least in Pathfinder,
How's
which
that?
if the players would allow it, depending on the system and blah 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 and whatnot, depending on how much of a stickler they want to be. How Pathfinder does it is much like how 3.5, but we do add one more little thing, which is when you go to sleep and you take a long rest or the equivalent of there or so in, you heal for a number of hit points equal to your HD, or in this case, most notably your class level,
Right.
plus your Constitution modifier.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
That's
that's
I would
self-explanatory.
prefer
I like that.
I'd prefer this over everything, right?
I mean,
But
it's a
the only
static
problem,
number. I mean,
the only
you prefer the
biggest
static number versus the possibility of a high. Sorry to cut you off again. I guess
go ahead.
you prefer the static number versus a possibility of rolling a much higher number.
Well, yeah. Generally speaking, yes. But the main problem of that whole, thought for doing this in 5e at least is the short rest mechanic. Because at that point, you can just go ahead and short rest, even though it only gives you half of your HD back. It's still much larger than that of, possibly 6 at level 3
That's
HP for going to bed.
that's a Baldur's Gate 3 exclusive mechanic, isn't it? For the short rest to be half, because aren't you able to use up to all of your HD in one,
Oh,
like in the short rest?
no, what I mean is, when in 5e, when you take a long rest, you. Did Raul just come in here?
I don't know.
Was that Raul?
I don't.
I think he was.
I don't know.
But he didn't bring the donuts this time.
Like, I heard a hello, and I was like, wait, did anyone else hear that, or am I tripping?
I didn't hear hello.
If you're talking to us, I heard no hello.
Okay. Maybe I'm tripping. I literally heard, like, the whole, like, really submissive Raul hello.
Okay.
It caught me off guard.
All right. So first you
where was I?
freeze at the beginning for 35 seconds, and then now you're starting to hear voices.
I
Bruh,
guess.
bruh, you okay?
I think you need
Well,
a long
apparently
rest,
not.
sir. You need a long
I
rest.
I might, but going back to it, in the rules, if I remember this correctly, long rest only gives you half of your HD that you can use for short rests.
All right. Yeah.
So technically, you need 2 full full rests to get back all your short rest HD. I'm actually gonna Google it to make sure that I got that right. Otherwise, I'm gonna look like a fool. Let's see. At the end of the long rest, a character regains all lost hit points, and the character also regains spent hit dice
Yeah.
up to a number of dice equal to half the character's total number of them. Minimum 1 dice for so.
I thought you were talking about them regaining up to half of their health.
No.
They regain half the
I
dice
said-
to spend. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true.
So technically, there's no real good mechanic to do exactly that I said of the whole resting Pathfinder way. The only closest way to that is the not so good alternate rule, gritty realism,
Mm-hmm.
that is in the Dungeon Mastered Guide, which is a short rest is a long rest, and you need a full week of rest to consider yourself a long rest.
Yeah, that's a full rest. Yep.
And I think that's too much at that point. Because at that point, you're never going to be casting spells.
The only way that I find that acceptable at all is if we were doing a city campaign and basically the DM bypassed weeks kind of quickly to where the rule felt more like a day. But in order to bypass weeks quickly, it was basically benefiting the players because the players were crafting things.
In Resnium, the only way that you have to do a full rest, which is a week, is if you actually get an injury, a lingering injury. Say like you pulled your groin, like say you fell off a high distance and you hurt your back or something like that. Well, then you would have to take a full rest. That's the mechanic I have in there. But the only thing I should probably add, I guess, because you guys covered it pretty good. The only thing I do differently, I'd say, is that for outdoors, I have the leader of the party roll a survival check to determine how good the area is. And it depends on the type of campaign, really. Like your guys' campaign versus if it's just a dungeon only campaign, or it's even a different plane than the material plane, But usually I have the face of that particular journey roll the survival check, and then like I'll have two people do depending on how many people are in the party, really. But usually it's 2 and 2 for watches, like, and I try to pair up ones who haven't role played before with each other around the campfire or whatever, so to speak. And so like one will roll like a perception check on watch, and like to see if the party's surprised upon, or if they notice something good or bad, and things like that. But other than that, I run everything pretty much the same as you guys had said. All right. Anything else to add, or should I go to the next question?
I do have something to put.
Okay.
It is a fantasy game indeed, because can you imagine actually falling asleep when you actually are supposed to fall asleep and getting the 8 hours that is, required for your body?
Right.
Like, we are really playing a fantasy game here, guys.
Right. When you don't have constant sleep deprivation, that's how you know you're living in a dream world.
Right?
And your characters have more money and goods than they could the longer they go, not less.
They just keep, moving and stuff like that. Like, it's great. I'm just like, huh.
Okay. Like, you say that, but let's really think about it. Let's just take this last session, for example, all right?
Uh-huh.
7,000 gold. We're going to go ahead and times that really quick by 100. All right? Because that's how much copper it would be. Right? Because 10 copper, make 1 silver, 10 silver, 1 gold. Right. That dragon got 7,000 gold from one character. That's 700,000 copper. If, for all intents and purposes, 1 copper was the equivalent of $1, 1 American dollar, right? Imagine just being like, yeah, sure, here's 700,000, dollars, just.
Well, yeah, I don't consider. I consider a copper to be like a penny.
All right, let me put it up to this way, right? Because maybe it doesn't cost a penny, but I'm going to argue at minimum at least 50 cents. The
Ki-
reason being is one or a silver, right, which is 10,
Uh-huh.
right? Let's see. Hirelings. I'm just making sure, right? Looking stuff up.
I mean,
All right.
it's probably somewhere in between, but I can't
Yeah.
I can't see a copper being $1 because like an apple, for instance, is like 4 or 6 copper or something like that. Are you paying $4 or $6 per one apple today
Okay.
versus like
Here we go. Here we go.
back in the
That's
medieval
very
times?
that's very depending, but here we go. A trained hireling, right? Trained just means that they have a trade skill. I'm
Right.
going to imagine that I myself am a trained hireling as a truck driver, right?
Yeah, you have the riding skill,
All
mechanical.
right. So, a trained hireling is 3 silver a day. Okay?
Right.
3 silver. Actually, that makes it even worse. A silver, right?
Yeah.
Already a lot, technically. But let's keep going. Roughly, I don't like talking about, my payment and whatnot, but we're gonna have to talk about it.
Okay.
Roughly, after one day, I make $300 of
Holy
work,
shit.
right?
Okay.
Now, this, of course, when you break it through, means that this hireling could arguably be making the equivalent of $300 a day with that 3 silver. 3 silver, of course, times it by 10 is equal to 30 copper. Every copper is, at that conversion rate, $10 per copper, which I know, ridiculous, right? But that's the max that it could be, right? For trained.
You're talking about a complete catastrophic parabolic economy situation where like everything is just completely ridiculous in price.
Now, let's go ahead and go one further. Maybe instead of being considered trained, let's, for some reason, I'm competent, and instead of making 3 silver, I make 3 gold,
Right.
right, a day. With that, 3 gold, which is still equal to, times it by 100, right, 300 copper, which is exactly how much I make.
3 gold times 100. If
Because
would be
100, because every
$300.
copper,
If you
yeah,
each gold was worth 100.
because every gold is worth 100 copper. So the conversion rate, even when looked at in the gold way, right, is still 1 copper to $1, approximately. Now, I can go ahead and make the argument that, for all intents and purposes, it can be cut in half, right? Or every copper is 50 cents. But still.
Oh well, that economy. That's a different subject. I could talk about that all day. Literally, I probably could. I probably
So,
could.
the point was, right, Shadow threw either anywhere from $350,000 to $700,000 at the dragon like it was nothing.
I didn't even know he had that kind of currency on him by himself at that point.
8,000 gold just on Fox's character right now, 8,600, and I think it was like, I still have about 5, or anywhere from, I think, 300 to 3,000. I can't remember the number completely. Plat,
Nice. Yeah,
right?
Asgrim's broke as shit over there. He's broke as hell. I don't know what the hell. He's gonna be wearing a freaking barrel pretty soon.
Look, he may be wearing a barrel, but he has a cart full of shit. Okay.
He's over in Klogschneek right now, freaking getting a vehicle made and pissing off a Jan T. Lich.
Oh,
Those two things together are terrifying. I don't like this.
You guys might be going on a rescue mission, maybe, because he insisted on going in that tower. He insisted on
Well,
it.
you know what? That rescue mission is gonna take a hold because let's be honest, I have no idea how far we are.
I don't know anymore either. It's just, man.
All right, we need what we need is Lenosius to be like, I'm gonna check on my sewers. Ah, adventurers, I see that you're here.
Oh my god.
And then we're gonna be like, all right, we're gonna kick your ass now, and then go find that fucking box. So
All
we
right.
don't have to do it later.
All right.
and then we're gonna find Barrel Grim.
Barrel.
Since since I don't think you're gonna go back, and because it doesn't make any sense since you guys just went through the door, you guys aren't gonna go back, are you? And decide to take a different route.
Nah, we're probably gonna go through the door.
All right, because that's what. Okay, because I want to tell you this while it's relevant. Because if I tell you when it's relevant again, you're not going to remember this situation. You're just it's not going to have the same effect. But one of those movable train carts that went down in through that black hole up through like the little area that goes through the cavern that you guys travel through to get to where you're at now. That drops the bodies down into the body chute.
Fun.
You would have been able to skip so much.
It's fine. We want to walk.
No, it's fine because I have all the better stuff planned for if you didn't find it. I was playing both sides.
Not everyone. You know, everyone doesn't have legs. We're gonna use them.
I was playing both sides. I was both hoping that you were clever enough to find that, and I was hoping that you wouldn't have found that. I was like, maybe I made it too easy. That's why I was explaining how the tracks moved and things. But the perception check was failed to locate which track went to which way because there was a few intersections. But if that would have succeeded, that probably would have gave you a nice hint, a nice indicator. But you guys got through that pretty good. And actually, if some of those stealth checks would have been failed when you guys were turning the wheels and things, the bubbles that you saw were going to be zombies coming up and out. So you were going to be trying to fight them off and do the wheels at the same time.
I'm very, very surprised that we didn't fight an Otiug.
Well, yeah. I know. Well, no, don't. Okay, I'll change that then.
Hey, hold on!
Well, I mentioned the trash pile in the next room, so it's kind of funny that you'd say that, so I have to change it now.
No, you don't.
It's fine.
Just make it smell like different things. Gosh. You know that's how Otiugs communicate, right?
I see. Did you ever play Baldur's Gate 2? By chance?
No.
Oh. Okay, never mind then. Well, there's one scene that you have to trick a golem to open up a door so you can let an Otiug get into a trash pit and eat, so you can find a secret door underneath the trash.
Interesting.
Or I think hopefully I'm remembering that right. It was something like that. Forgive me. It was 1999 since the last time I played that.
Nah, you're good.
Or 2000, something like that. All right. Anyway, let's get to the next question because I'm enjoying talking to you guys. We're catching up and stuff, but we're running along already. We're doing good. I could actually save the other questions for another episode, but I'm not going to do that because it's been a long time since we had a tavern talk, folks. So we're gonna get through all of them as long as it takes. So
That's fine.
there's only two other questions. So uh, let's see. Baldur's Gate 3 discussion, specifically what it means for the community. Okay. Now, you can start us off with that, Derry, if you like. Or, oh, wait, you started the last one. Lovable, you start this one.
All right, fine. Here we go.
All right.
For the community of Dungeons and Dragons, we're going to see some good and we're going to see some bad. The good one, and this part's going to get a little bit R rated, adults.
Okay.
But there's going to be a lot more people wanting tentacles.
Oh.
Oh dear God, that just reminds me of Smoshy and her boyfriend.
Oh, my God. Oh, man. Yeah. She was trying to do like some kind of dance thing or something. I forget, kind of. But yeah.
She was trying to get with the Illithid.
Right. Like I was trying to keep it appropriate. I could have went other places with it, but I try to keep
She
it.
wanted calamari.
Yeah, I
Another
don't want to push YouTube too far because they keep changing their guidelines. So I just try.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine. I could continue. All right, that's one of the bad things. All right.
All right.
Which, in some people's eyes, it could be viewed as good. I absolutely love that the Illithids are getting more, right? Like more exposure,
Yeah.
right? Especially the Mind Flayers and the Gith Yankee. I love that because I love both of them, especially Illithids. I've always been a fan of Illithids. Illithids and Aboleths are my two favorite aberrations.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like they are my kings. Kings, not kink.
Bro, what's the difference?
There's a big ass difference.
You said
Right.
the Mind Flayers, and what are your favorite aberrations?
Aboleths.
Oh, Aboleths. Okay. Yeah.
Because of their very different and very similar ways. Aboleths were there at the beginning of time and creation, whereas Mind Flayers come for those that don't know, spoilers, cough here, if you don't know stuff. Gonna wait for you to leave now. All right, time's up. Comes from literally the end of time, the future. And is the entire reason why Aboleths are actually afraid of Mind Flayers. Because Mind Flayer or Aboleths were there even before gods. And they have seen all the races become what they are. But Mind Flayers came from the future, so they have no idea where they came from. And so they are the most mind-boggling shits to them. So whereas Aboleths is our past, Mind Flayers are our future. And I love that. Another bad thing, and I'm hoping in a way that there is no support for it because it doesn't deserve it. The notion of Hello?
Yeah, you cut out.
I'm good. That's fine. The notion of something like half Illithid or Illithid Mind Flayer people that, are psionic and, whatever. Don't like it. I don't like the notion of it. Right? I'd rather be a full Illithid or something, or, it has to make sense. Right? Well, but if there's a bunch of copycats of just Baldur's Gate 3, well, Baldur's Gate 3 did it, right? And they take it as canon, then, get punched in the face. Right? Make your own. Make your own freaking reason. Don't steal. Don't steal from Baldur's Gate 3. Unless you already made, something that's akin to that what they did at Baldur's Gate 3, and it was your own original idea before you even found out about Baldur's Gate 3, then fine.
Yeah, I actually I actually said I uploaded my first session of Baldur's Gate 3 onto YouTube 2 days ago. I actually said in the episode, I was like, oh man, pardon me. I was like, oh man, I really like mind flayers. I was like, but I'm gonna be accused of freaking copycat syndrome anytime I use them, because I happen to think that they're kind of weak in fifth edition, like where they should be much more than they are. And I actually I think I have a YouTube video on how to make them much more scarier than they are. But I was like, after you see that they're the main bad guys and things, I'm like, oh man, I really can't use these guys no more.
I feel for that, because that whole copycat syndrome is like, oh, it's because it's, good. No. For a lot of people, it is something that they really like. Me and you, included here.
Because
right? Liz knows I put aboliths and mind flayers in almost every single freaking campaign I ever make.
Because if you remember,
Yeah. It's like your salt and pepper.
I love them.
Yeah.
You find a lake. There's an aboleth in there. Shut up.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's bread and butters monsters for sure. I definitely try to put at least 3 dragons in every one of my campaigns. I try to, although some people ask me beforehand, like, "Hey, I just came from a campaign that was all dragons. Like everybody was dragons. Like, like we just found out that our blood, like we have dragon blood, and we all grew wings." I'm like, all right, fine, no dragons, no that."
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Mm.
But
No,
Oh my god.
I mean, you remember you remember when Josh's cousin Zach, when I told you I tried to run a campaign for them, and he told me that the ice wall that's in Mordavia, that's on the border of Mordavia and Corvallis, he said that the ice wall, he's like, oh, you got this from Game of Thrones. But it's like, no, my campaign, like, this world has existed, like, well before Game of Thrones. And, like, this ice wall exists because there is an ancient dragon, a frost dragon. That's why. Like, that's his lair effect, like, his regional effect. Like, that's, like, I'm not copying nothing. But, like, you get accused of copying everything, I suppose, at some point. Everything's been done before.
Everything's been done before.
But man, the graphics in Baldur's Gate 3 are amazing. I'm not. I think I'm gonna stop saying Baldur's Gate 3. I don't know. BG3. That sounds stupid. I'll just say Baldur's Gate. It's which one.
You can say Baldur's Gate. It's the only.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, some people are like, if you do that, if you're like, I really like Warcraft. Like, Warcraft. Which one? It's like, oh my gosh.
Well, you're not. You're amongst good company. That can distinguish right now. But also, you said something about making mind flayers more deadly and whatnot. Honestly, I have something about that. When you look in the monster manual and you look at creatures, though, when you look at them, you're essentially looking at the base creature at adulthood or through, normal culture of their life,
right,
or of their race.
Yeah.
And with that,
it's their equivalent of a commoner.
Yeah. So I believe, by all means, mind flayers are pretty goddamn powerful.
Yeah,
now,
specialized
because
ones.
of that, you can have mind flayers could be much more powerful, right? Not just because you want to buff them, but because they decided to take 5 levels, right, on top of literally just being them, of, for all intents and purposes, fighter, cleric, psionic kineticist master, whatever the hell you want. and that will give them their Buffy Wuffies.
of vampiric mind flayer. I don't even know if it's possible. Yeah, of course it would have to be possible.
Would each
No,
and
it's
every
very
single
possible.
tentacle have a tooth at the end of it?
Actually,
give its
in
tentacles teeth.
in Van Richten's guide, to Barovia, the the Domains of Dread book,
Yeah.
there is a illicit vampire in it
Oh, really?
as one of the monsters.
Oh, cool. I had no idea. See what I mean? Everything's been done before. Look at that. I just... one of my...
Yeah, Vampiric Mind Flayer.
Vampiric Mind Flayer. Nice.
Yep. I found it. Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, page 252. AC 15, hit points 10d8 plus 40, speed and climb is 30, 18 strength, 18 dex, 18 con, 5 intelligence, 15 wisdom, 18 charisma.
Well,
saving throws are dex, wiz, charisma.
Well, you've all came across mind flayers a few times in my campaign. Actually, you came across proper mind flayers in the Fey Dark and the Alhoon in the Wizard's Tower.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's two different levels of mind flayers.
Well, the Alhoons are a bunch of themselves.
Yeah, excuse me, I can't get rid of this cough. I think I think I might need to change some coil on my pen. Excuse me. But let's see here. Oh, the graphics, like I was saying, for Baldur's Gate 3, or the monster detail and everything is really good. I mean, so far I've only I think I've got 4 party members and we're all level 2. I don't want to give any spoilers, I suppose, but it's probably better than I expected, but I don't know yet until there's more. I get more into the meat and potatoes of actually role playing and having conundrum situations pop up. I love those types of things where you have like difficult choices.
Oh, you're gonna have a lot of them.
But what I don't like, though, one thing I noticed is that they do just the same thing, maybe not as bad, but Larian seems to do the same thing that Bethesda does, and they give you that little bit of text to let you know kind of what they're about to say, and it's not what you anticipate it to be. What I mean by that is, I don't want to ruin it. I don't want any spoilers. There's a situation where there's a certain lady that you come across, and you have to make a decision whether to try to deceive somebody or to fight somebody or whatever. And one of the things that you can say is, don't worry, I'll handle this. But the way you handle it isn't satisfactory because you don't really handle it.
I mean, I know exactly which scene you're talking about.
Right.
And you can handle it in a different variety of ways.
Like, it's like either you attack them or you deceive in order to, but it's like, I want to be honest, but I want you to there's not that.
I think it's a problem with all storytelling games, because even when I look over at like The Wolf Among Us, Walking Dead, and I also look over at Mass Effect, like each and every one of them give you a smidgen of dialogue, and you're like, oh yeah, that sounds like something my character would want to say, like I would want to say and whatnot.
Right.
And you pick that one, and then all of a sudden they just go off on this whole tangent and stuff, and you're just like,
right. It's like,
I picked a small sentence.
right. Oh, that's my love interest. Let me click I love you. I love you. I love you so much, and that's why I must shoot you in the head. What the fuck? What? What? No, no.
One of the things though that you have to realize about that scene in particular that you're talking about, that we're not giving absolutely any spoilers, is
Right.
those other people that are there are already afraid of her.
Right.
So to try to quote unquote tell the truth and diplomatize
Right.
doesn't really work, because for all intents and purposes, right? Let's just say, right? You had some, you know, you were afraid of this person that you already know is a mass murderer. And then I come around and say, "Oh no, they're okay. Just let him out of the cage." You're not going to let the mass murderer out of the cage.
No. You wouldn't. Of course you wouldn't. But if you explain, hey, we were abducted by mind flayers, and that's the intro, so I'm not spoiling anything. And we're on their ship, and same thing that's in the intro. But you explain that story, and we're looking. We need a priest very badly. Can you please help us? Like that includes her too. Like, please, we'll be in your debt, and so on and so forth. Like, I feel like that should be something that you should be able to do.
I mean, you're absolutely right. It should be. Unfortunately, it's not.
Right.
So
And that's the limitation between games versus tabletop.
something that I am kind of hoping and whatnot is the mod community.
Yeah.
Because there's already mods coming out.
Oh, really? I didn't know the
yes.
game was moddable. I guess I should have expected that, because Larian seems to have a pro gamer, pro community stance, like pro YouTube stance, and all that.
So right now there are a lot of mods. Usually you can get them through like Nexus Mod Manager, right? But there's no official support for them.
Yeah.
So you have to manually do a lot of things. But Larian does want to put that mod support. It's just that they're it's kind of like on the roadmap. So it's coming. But if you wanted to manually mod things yourself, right, using Nexus Mod, and there's nothing wrong with Nexus mods.
Hopefully it got a lot better, because, man, I could not get that damn thing to work with Oblivion or, freaking Skyrim.
Did you have Skyrim script extender?
Yeah. I went through all the steps that I found, and freaking, I don't know. It didn't work. Like, I even watched a whole bunch of YouTube videos on like the top 20 mods for it. I was like, oh my god, this is gonna extend the game for me, like potentially thousands of hours. I can't wait.
Well, I could tell you this. I was able to, mod Skyrim, and it wasn't that hard using Nexus Mod, and it's only gotten easier, right, as Nexus Mod got better.
I think I would wait until there's
official support.
Yeah, till there's official support, because basically, if you don't want to mess with like downloading mods, like kind of through that and stuff, wait until there's official support.
I wish it
then
was
use that.
I wish it was like the World of Warcraft add-ons from Curse. That just completely it throws them right into the add-on folder. But even with World of Warcraft, I still knew how to manually do it. Like, it wasn't that hard. But for some reason, I don't know. I just can't get. I couldn't back years ago when I tried. Anyway, like 5 years ago, I just couldn't get the Nexus to work really.
Well, that's why I'm like, wait until because they are saying, hey, we are planning on doing like, mod support, because they want the community to thrive and whatnot. And how communities thrive is sometimes through mods, because it's like, we played the game like 400 times.
Oh yeah.
There's nothing new to find.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna download mods now.
Yeah, there's people there's still a community who plays the original Doom for PC from 1993. Yeah.
People, do enjoy making mods and stuff, and what I kind of suspect with mods is that there's going to be more dialogue options, and also they're going to tweak other people's dialogues in the game to match whatever you say. The thing is that don't expect them to talk.
But
Like,
I found something about dialogue and cinematics and things that I really really like.
hmm,
So during cinematics, right? Certain cinematics, but most cinematics, there is an attack button on the bottom left-hand corner. So you can interrupt a cinematic and be like a D&D player, I pull out my sword and I attack them. Right, while they're talking.
Yeah, but that's so obnoxious.
No. Okay. It actually could affect things. An example that I was given, I'm not going to give any spoilers, right? But I'm going to describe it. You meet some people who have captured another group of people, and you see one of the people escape, right? But as they're running, one of the people that captured them, puts up their crossbow and shoots them. If you attack before they pull that trigger on the crossbow and kill them, you will enter combat before that character dies, and thus giving you the chance of saving them.
Huh. Yeah.
So it does actually have a tangible effect on the story by going ahead and in the middle of the cinematic pulling out your sword.
Yeah, that has a tabletop feel to it.
I didn't know about it.
Well, no,
And
you just
now I have, now that I've told you, you can now utilize it, right, for these cutscenes, for these cinematics, right, to just be like, oh shit, I see this happening, click, roll for initiative.
Yeah. That's cool.
Which gives the game, you might not be able to utilize this, everywhere, right? But it gives the game an additional factor of replayability, right? To saving those people, to ensure that they don't die, to seeing the different kind of interactions, reactions, and how it, changes the story in some way. Granted, of course, if you do that to a key NPC or whatnot, you're gonna get your ass handed to you or some other thing. But it's still a thing that they implemented into the game, which I think is, phenomenal.
Yeah, that's anything that they could do to make it like like tabletop. I love, I love some of the gain of function features. Like it shows you the white path for how far you can move, and then anything after is red, which shows you can't move that way yet. Like I love that kind of stuff. But one thing
Well, there is also another thing to that one is it could be red if it's going over hazardous terrain.
Oh, okay.
But you can still run through it.
Well, that's one thing. I don't like the pathing. How it like the first time I played. Like when I clicked to where I was trying to go. Like my dude just ran and then sat in the fire and straight burned to death, and that's how he died.
I know that there's a way to path it. That way you can see. I just don't know how.
There's fire on the left side of the path. There's fire on the right side of the path, but the middle is perfectly clear. So let's click right down the middle, just up. Nope, go stand over on the fire on the left. Like, come on, dude. And then there was one area where I wanted to inspect something. Because I'm not trying to give any spoilers again. You'll obviously know what I'm talking about, but I was trying to inspect something and I had wanted my guy to walk over to look at it, to click it, and he fell in. Okay, well, why did you have that there to be able to click it to do something with it then? Like, you shouldn't be able to just path into like that, because the pathing function it's not. it's not
You have to right click.
it's not totally reliable to where you can. Well, I know. I know you have to right click for your individual different actions. Like the thief has to, or the rogue has to do it to pick locks, and pick you do it to pick things up, and whatever. But I'm just saying, just walking over to it, like the pathing isn't good enough so that the environment itself should be able to affect you like that, because it doesn't path it exactly like you're telling it to go. You have to do it in very, very small steps for it to do what you really want it to do.
I completely understand on that part because I have difficulty like maneuvering around, walking around, and stuff. Like, not gonna say what place I picked this up from, but I got like massively diseased and was like pretty much on the brink of death and whatnot because I was flesh rot.
Yep, she was affected by flesh rot. Do.
And I was trying to jump and get over certain things that way I wasn't affected by it. And then when I clicked to just start moving, she then walked around and walked directly into the crap. And then I show up to the party and stuff, like they're all waiting for me, and I'm just sitting there leaking blood, all black and stuff, and it's like, what the F happened to you?
I walked.
I walked.
This is a side subject, but while you just said as a response to what you just said, I have a question that I was thinking in my head from my campaign. When Jack got bit by the zombie and he failed his first save, what was he was actively he was going to turn. If he failed 3 saves, I was going to have him turn. What would happen to him if he was to turn into a zombie, since he's essentially, limitless?
A reborn?
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think anything would really happen other than, if it was my campaign, maybe like
a fever.
I would
like a high fever and like he's
high fever,
exhaustion.
but also I as a DM would subtly ask him like, hey, what is your mood like? Hey, are you upset about this situation? Cool, you're upset. I need you to roll a d20. All right. Here's your temporary character sheet that I would have already pre-made, and I would be like, you don't have the stuff on your character sheet right now. You're kind of like wigging out. And basically, I would let him put together that the zombie bite basically affected him, but because of what he is, it's not fully affecting him. And during certain moments of like, he's thoroughly upset, emotional moments, he actually goes zombie and loses his mind. And he has none of his other stats.
Okay.
That's the way that I would play it off and stuff, but
Okay.
I have something different.
Go ahead and tell me what you have different, and I'll just tell you that I do have something planned for him because he succeeded the save eventually. But go ahead.
So, relatively, those zombies are relatively weak to us on a one-on-one fight, for all intents and purposes. Right? They deal like D6 plus 2, I'm gonna guess.
Yeah, it's something like D6 plus
Alright,
2
cool.
sounds good. D8 plus 2, something like that.
A reoccurring theme that I always see in D&D, right, is when something bad happens to a powerful character, they create something more powerful. So, First thing I would do is, if they're going to turn into a zombie, right? I'm going to give them buffs as if they were a zombie, because they're not going to turn into a normal zombie. They're going to turn into a bigger, badder zombie. Right? The process, of course, is going to be slow, but because you already, failed that first one, right? You have now been inflicted by it. There is no saving to, cure. You are saving to delay.
Saving to delay.
Right?
Yeah.
So
That's good. I like it.
So let's just say for this thing,
to the ultimate zombie.
Rob
Zombie.
Let's go ahead and say, for all intents and purposes, because zombies, right, grab, right, you have advantage on grapple rolls, because now, right, when you grab things, you're forcibly, death gripping, right?
Yeah.
There's little to no feeling anymore. You just kind of are going full ham. Secondarily, you have advantage on all diseases, right? Because there's already a disease on you and you're turning more undead. These little buffs, right, that hint to what's really happening and essentially will slowly become your demise. Because either characters will do one of two things, or players. Either one, they see these as a blessing and be like, oh, this is so cool. And then, once every while, be like, oh, can you make a Constitution saving throw? At some random point in the day, and basically you're making it that their delay roll. They go ahead and fail 3-5 times, however many, right? Things get progressively better or worse, however depending you see it, until finally they succumb to their disease because they didn't go and get treated. And now we're not dealing with some, for all intents and purposes, CR3 zombie. We're dealing with a CR18 buff ass jack, right, zombie that can deal as much damage to us as we can do to it.
Well, I don't know if I want to take it that far. I was already going to take it pretty. It was going to be pretty cool. That sounds great, but that sounds like you need a lot of coordination and permission from him. I feel like that takes.
Well,
I feel like that takes away quite a bit of character agency. But yes, it is cool. But I feel like some people might have an issue with that.
I mean, I can absolutely see where the issues can come from, right? The only thing
it'd take a lot of
is
trust. Your player would have to trust you a lot, I think.
the only issue that I have is, I'm going to be describing how their body is slowly changing, right? Things are, being weird to you and whatnot, right? And if they don't question it, right, then they don't question it. And really, it's their fault. And I'm not going to be like, oh, after 3, I'm going to give them... I'm going to give them 10, right? It's not going to be over the course of literally 5 days. It's going to be over the course of like 5 weeks, right? In-game time for all intents and purposes, right?
Wow.
Enough time for them to really see like the change. And if they don't question that change, then, there's nothing that I can do to stop it. Unless I, for all intents and purposes, have put in a character to kind of like, notice it. Right? It doesn't matter how much in-game time it is. It's more like how much time has passed on the table, right? For them to really get the picture. Because if, let's just say we go through, for all intents and purposes, 2 months in this, time frame of 3 hours, right, on the table. That's going to be a very unfair, right? Because they never really got to see the change happen. Slowly. They see it happen fast, and then they might actually be like, "Oh God, I need to get this fixed," right? Or checked out, or something. And I think that gives too much of hit in the face on what's happening. I like to be a little bit more subtle with it. Liz knows it.
All right. Well, you'll see what I got planned. It's pretty cool, I think. But that was good. All right, let's get to the next question because we are over an hour at this point, and I was thinking about doing about 35 minutes.
All right. The next one.
It's okay though. All right. So the next question is, if the fallout from the OGL is good or bad for the tabletop community. I think everybody knows
General.
with the OGL situation, so I don't think we need to rehash it.
Yandere, do you want to start it?
Go for it.
All right. Generally speaking, I think that the fallout is good because it put wizards kind of in, you know, to really look at themselves and be like, oh, the community actually has some power. The only problem I really see with it is the moment that they did that, all news kind of stopped. Because there's no more developments, there's no more nothing, and kind of people are back to how they were. And for better or for worse, I think that for all intents and purposes, it's good. Because through it, right, we now have Orc, and the OGL 1.1 is, gone, blasted, and they had to, even go further and put out things for free, even if it was begrudgingly, right? It's better for the community overall, the ramifications of what, transpired because of it.
Well,
Because Wizards tried to overstep.
The things
the community
that they put out for free, what weren't the things they put out for free, like the rules, like the things that they can't copyright anyway?
So yes, by all means, right? But it's more than that. It's anyone can now use them for any game. Doesn't matter your works, it doesn't matter you're not it's out there, and it's out there for everyone.
Yeah.
And that's good, right?
Basically,
I'm there's no changes.
I'm still staying away from them as much as I can because I do not want them going back on their word ever again.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Right? That's probably one of the bad tastes in a lot of creators' mouths, right? But on the other flip side, because of it, we now have Orc. That was created by Patio in response to this whole thing. And because of that, we now have essentially other things to look at, right? Other than 5th edition or anything created by Wizards for all that, all intents and purposes, to now rely upon that will never be taken.
I feel betrayed by the whole thing. Like, I was all for D&D, like the community, all like the events.
Let's go to Pathfinder. Let's go to Pathfinder. Let's go to Pathfinder.
Like every book that they released that seemed like it was something I would be interested in. Got them all, like, and that especially obviously with about my income with a limited income, I still was I would sacrifice to get the books and everything. For them to do that to the community that supported them, basically to dungeon masters, who are the ones who overwhelmingly are the ones who buy the books in the first place. It's just, and then with the artificial AI stuff, like the artificial DM stuff, like and then the whole wall, now everything's in a walled garden on their site. I don't know. That all leaves a bad taste in my mouth for the future of Dungeons and Dragons specifically. I feel like
Pathfinder.
Well, isn't Pathfinders also beholden to the OGL?
No, they're not.
No?
All right. So Patio has been for years, right, restructuring itself so that way it can no longer be a part of the OGL.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And now it's its own system, right? Like magic missiles is now considered arcane missiles and other things and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But to that, because of the whole OGL situation, we now have Made by Pazio and a bunch of other gaming licenses,
Uh-huh.
right, and other TTRPGs.
Yeah.
Other than D&D 5e
Uh-huh.
or anything made by Dungeons Dragons, we have Orc,
Oh yeah,
which
yeah.
is the open RPG creative license,
Yeah.
which was given to a law firm, right? Not
Mhm.
even Pazio owns it. It's given to a law firm, so
Yeah.
that way it will always and forever stay the same for the purposes of essentially the original OGL 1.0,
Yeah, I knew about the orc.
right? Or at least a
I wasn't
version of it.
aware. I wasn't aware it was live yet.
It's live, um, and because of it, we don't have to worry about something like Wizards doing that, or what Wizards did for something like Pathfinder, Starfinder, Pathfinder 2e, because that's all under Orc.
Mm-hmm.
And Pazio, you know, did it just, we're doing this along with other um, TTRPGs that decided to go under it. I know Cobalt Press did some of. Hold on, let me go grab. Last several weeks, yada yada yada, and now we believe that any interpretation that the OGL 1.0 or 1.A were intended to be revocable or able to deauthorize is incorrect and with good reason. Good reason. We were there. Pazio owner Lisa Stevens and Pazio president Jim Butler were leaders on the Dungeons and Dragons team at Wizards at the time. Brian Lewis, co-founder of Azora Law, the intellectual property law firm that Pazio uses, was the attorney at Wizards who came up with the legal framework with the OGL itself. Pazio has also worked very closely on OGL-related issues with Ryan Dancy, the visionary who conceived of the OGL in the first place. Pazio does not believe that the OGL 1.0a can be deauthorized ever. While we are prepared to argue that point in the court of law if need be, we don't want to have to do that, and we know that many of our fellow publishers are not in a position to do so. We have no interest whatsoever in Wizards' new OGL. Instead, we have a plan that we believe will irrevocably and unquestionably keep alive the spirit of the open gaming license. As Pazio has evolved, the parts of the OGL that we ourselves value have changed. When we needed to quickly bring out Pathfinder First Edition to continue publishing our popular monthly adventures back in 2008, using Wizards language was important and expeditious. But in our non-RPG products, including our Pathfinder Tale novels, the Pathfinder Adventure card game, and others, we shifted our focus away from D&D tropes to lean harder into our own ideas with our own writers. By the time we went to work with Pathfinder 2nd Edition, Wizards of the Coast open gaming content was significantly less important to us. And so our designers and developers wrote new editions without using Wizards' copyright expressions of any game mechanics. While we still published it under the OGL, the reason was no longer to allow Pazio to use Wizards' expressions, but to allow other companies to use our expressions. We believe, as we always have, that open gaming makes games better, improves profitability for all involved, and enriches the community of gamers who participate in the amazing hobby. And so we invite gamers from around the world to join us as we begin the next chapter of our open gaming with the release of a new open, perpetual, and irrevocable open RPG creative license, ORC. The new open RPG creative license will be a build system agnostic for independent game publishers under the legal guidance of Azora Law, an intellectual property firm that represents Paizo and several other game publishers. Paizo will pay for this legal work. We invite game publishers worldwide to join us in the system in support of the system agnostic license that allows all games to provide their own unique open rules reference documents that open up their individual game systems to the world. Joint effort and provide feedback on the drafts of this license, please sign up using this form. In addition to Paizo, Cobalt Press, Chaosism, Green Ronin, Legendary Games, Rogue Genius Games, and a growing list of publishers have already signed to participate in the open gaming open RPG creative license, and in the coming days we hope and expect to add substantially to this group. The Orc will not be owned by Paizo, nor will it be owned by any company who makes money publishing RPGs. Azora's Law's ownership of the process and stewardship should provide a safe harbor against any company being bought, sold, or changing management in the future and attempting to rescind those rights or nullify sections of the license. Ultimately, we plan to find a nonprofit with a history of open source values to own this license, such as the Linux Foundation. Of course, Pasio plans to continue publishing Pathfinder Starfinder even as we move away from the open gaming license. Since months worth of products are still at the printer, you'll see the familiar OGL 1.0 in the back of our license. But while the RP open gaming license is being finalized, we'll be printing Pathfinder Starfinder products without any license, and we'll add the finished license to those products when the new license is finished. We hope that you'll continue to support, yada, 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 yada. So that's essentially the whole article on the Patio website itself about the announcement of the Orc gaming license and how this is probably the biggest, thing to happen because Wizards decided to do what they did, which is, in a way, good for the community.
They try to be the bullies.
Like, because they decided to overstep themselves and try to monetize everything, the community entirely pushed back, and Wizards had no choice. They had to step down or get knocked down.
Oh, well, it's fine because they have D&D Beyond, and they're gonna monetize the shit out of that. You're gonna be paying for spell effects and freaking different color armors, and if it's magical, you're gonna be paying more for the rarities. I bet you they're gonna be doing you're gonna have to buy spell packs or something, like the little cards that your magic items come on for the table. You can buy them for the virtual table now.
I mean, you're right. I can see that shit happening. Dumb.
Pay 25 cents for 5 advantage tokens? Oh my god. Pay $1.50 to multi-class? Here's the special multi-class sheet. And then they're going to be selling selling different kind of dice.
That's why we use Google Docs, and
yeah, we use Google Docs for everything, and we don't, we write everything down.
Yes.
Like our way takes a little bit longer, but
Yes.
it's ours.
Right. It's the best
also,
way. It's the best way.
Google Docs.
304.
I don't have to sit there and be like, what the hell is on that person's character sheet and whatnot, and are they equipped to fight this thing that I'm about to throw at them, and sit there and try to play I just check the Google Docs. All right, is all my players ready to fight this thing? Yeah. And I see they're low on funds. I'm gonna put some money in the dungeon. Okay.
Also, with the Google Docs, we can absolutely see its history and any kind of remarks that's been changed over the course of, whatever. So we can see your history. So if you decided to put, an extra something somewhere, we see that. And that's one other thing why I like about Google Docs. I can see who fucked with what and how. And if it doesn't make sense to me, then I can call them out on it.
One thing I like about the automated tracking versus manual tracking is it keeps track of temporary bonuses automatically. I very much enjoy that, because sometimes it's hard to remember which situations you may have for instance, the bonuses and benefits to your weapons and things and other stuff that you could find when you roll a crit. It keeps track of all those types of things, so you don't ever miss it, really. Or even attack of opportunities.
Yeah.
So, is there going to be other campaigns for Baldur's Gate?
I don't know. I mean, the way I see it is they're going to make DLC, and they're going to be full-ass DLCs, right?
Yeah.
Or we're going to have a new, some sort of expansion and whatnot, because the Baldur's Gate 3 only goes up to level 12. We need something for that 13 to 20.
So, fingers crossed that they do make other games and stuff, because they are, running off of the D&D world.
Yeah.
And like we are running around in multiple different areas that are bordering close to certain other things that are just like right there around and whatnot. And if we were allowed to just run a little bit further, we could go into probably several other completely different campaigns.
But you know what would be great? Community campaigns. Something like Neverwinter's Gauntlet, where the custom dungeons, Liz.
That would be great if they could the community could create custom things and stuff like that. But I feel like it would run down the rabbit hole of Mario Maker. In the sense of either being far too easy or extremely difficult, and no one would do the effort how the top ones had so much effort put into them and storytelling and stuff like that. Like literally when we were doing my favorite one, which is be the bad guy.
Oh, I remember.
Oh, Mario Maker, man. That's one of the only games I've ever had for that system, and holy crap, it's like every level I played from the community was like a troll me level. Holy
yeah.
It was so terrible. I just wanted to play some cool actual levels from people who made actual levels, and I'm sitting there freaking jumping from bomb to bomb, trying to avoid the ground.
So what I understood was with Mario Maker and people who have communities built specifically around Mario content and stuff, people will build levels custom for their content, their favorite content creator and stuff like that. So if that happened with Baldur's Gate, and we ended up having a large enough D&D community, we could get levels created for us like that. But yeah, Mario Maker itself just troll levels and it sucks.
Yeah.
I
was hoping for some cool ass levels. Now, Nintendo, if you make this, you better pay me. But you're gonna have to make Mario Maker, but for Mario Kart. Do it.
God.
Make it so and pay me. Money me.
They're gonna people are gonna make Rainbow Road, but go on for 6 hours.
No, there has to be a limit, 3 minutes a lap. That's pretty generous.
Hopefully and stuff, but you know how Rainbow Road is the longest map usually in every single Mario Kart and stuff like that.
I either love them or they suck, in my opinion. I either love them or I hate them.
Oh my god, Lava World, but Rainbow Road.
And the Bowser's castles, I love them all. The ghost castles, those are cool too. I kind of want to play Mario Kart now. Do you guys have a Switch?
I have a Switch. I don't have Mario Kart.
Oh.
I'm very, very rusty at Mario Kart. The last one that I played was Double Dash.
Oh, holy crap! That was back when I was.
Yeah.
That's back when I was in the Navy.
Like,
Holy crap! I used to when I was in the Navy. I didn't make much. I didn't make enough money to live out in town when we were on base. Like when we weren't out to sea. We would have to find our own way basically, or live in a barracks. So I didn't want to live in the barracks because it was just cramped and you had to be in by like 9 and all this other craziness. So in order to afford to live out in town, I used to play people in Mario Kart for $50 a race up at in the library to afford to be able to live out in town.
hmm.
It lasted for about 8 months until nobody wanted to play me anymore. I love Mario Kart. All right, so any final thoughts? We're an hour and a half in at this point.
Uh, I do have something that could turn into a full-blown question.
Okay, what's that?
And it's about Baldur's Gate and also D&D.
Okay.
So stealing in Baldur's Gate is honestly so satisfying. And
I haven't done it yet.
I actually, do enjoy stealing in Baldur's Gate because you get a lot of cool things. You don't have to pay for it. And also when there's like big important shiny items that you can steal,
You don't
you
have to pay for
feel
it. That's a
like
benefit. It's a key benefit. You don't have to pay for it. I love it.
like well like the thing is that you're not even supposed to take the damn item whatsoever, and it's big important shiny item,
Yeah.
and you're just looking at it like, I want it and I want it to do a thing, and you go and grab it,
Mhm.
and it's so like cathartic to actually be able to take it. And then I look over at D&D, and like it's not as cathartic to still in D&D, because usually all the other players don't like rogues, and the only time that they do like rogues and whatnot is if they believe they could get away with the thing. But if you have a malicious DM who's like, well, somehow, some way, one random person in the entire damn town is gonna know that you stole because the DM is just deciding to be a dick.
Or if you're playing Oblivion, and the guard from all the way across the town happens to it just shows you a picture of a guard. You there? Like you didn't see nothing. Get the hell out of here. You're not even.
Yeah.
You're nowhere near me.
Like,
To be fair, those Oblivion guards deserve a raise because you stole something, back in fucking Cyril or whatever the hell, right?
Yeah.
And here you are going through an Oblivion gate, fighting off literal demons, right? And then all of a sudden, cutscene. Stop there, criminal scum! You've broken the law.
Yeah.
You've stolen a piece of bread. Excuse me, but I'm in literal hell, killing demons, and you came here for this?
Right.
Yes. Well, fuck. Fine, I'll pay the 2 gold.
They get paid super well.
like, they find
don't
you
get paid
wherever.
Because apparently that they need that two Cimmeril, whatever the hell.
It's funny to make them go swimming.
They need that 2 gold, right? Tibetans or whatever the hell, to pay for the guards wages, because if they don't get that 2 gold, right, for you stealing that piece of bread, they're gonna go broke.
Right.
Right. They need a raise.
But
much effort.
like, I don't know. Like I've had so much fun, in Baldur's Gate, stealing things. Also, I haven't had a full-on cathartic Skyrim run to where I'm stealing everything that's not nailed down. So maybe I'm deprived of that. But I've been having a lot of fun just, long-term borrowing. And in actual D&D, like, I feel like, you're if you're a rogue, things always catch up to you and whatnot, and you always have to pay the consequences. And I'm like, yeah, sure, that's fine, but that's not the fun part of taking the stuff. The fun part of taking the stuff is getting away with taking the stuff. And I feel like also rogues, if they take too many things, do ruin a lot of the game, because it's like, well, you were supposed to pay for this and whatnot. Like, let's say there's a big expensive potion and whatnot that basically, if you drink it, it like empowers you for like an hour or whatever.
Right.
And super expensive. Rogue ends up lifting it, and you were planning for the party to each pitch in, so that way they each could get a sip. Rogue ends up lifting it and being like, "Well, it's all my potion now."
Or you could, if you're really good at stealing, you could steal their own merchandise and then just sell it back to them, and then you just own the game.
Like, I think that Baldur's Gate did a great job with that in the sense, because I have not had, I think, a single positive experience where either I'm like a rogue is like, stealing things to actually make a little bit of money for the group, but then the DM decides to be malicious, or a rogue just decides to be a flat out a-hole and steal literally the party stuff, and the DM does nothing. Like, I don't think I've had a single positive experience with a rogue legitimately stealing, because usually when rogues are now in the party, they're like, nah, I only steal when need be, and it's because they're cautious because of the DM.
Right.
Because the DM's gonna, just strike them down. Like, freaking, there was a DM and whatnot that basically, if you stole too much in the campaign, you would basically got kleptomania. Thank you for the follow. You basically obtained kleptomania.
Uh-huh.
And now the DM is rolling secretively of other things that you obtained.
Yeah.
Hey! And I think that that's so unfair to, just randomly get kleptomania and stuff if you steal too much.
Yeah, you shouldn't get it for stealing too much. I feel like you should get it for stealing from your party too much. I feel like when well, the few times I've ever played a rogue in a campaign, I've never stolen a thing from a party member. But I can see that there be situations where, somebody in your party has something that you specifically need, and they're trying to keep it from you, but they don't know that you know they have it. Something like that. That would be kind of cool. But just as surprise, take 19 gold off your character sheet. No, we're not doing that nonsense.
I've either run into, too many nice guy rogues to where they're like, oh, I don't steal. I only steal when it I need to and stuff. I'm trying to get away from that. I'm like, oh my god, this is like the 15th one that I've ran into.
Mm-hmm.
Or, the rogue is like, oh, this chair, it's not nailed down. Is the person looking at me? No. Cool, my chair. And then the DM gets pissed and is like, well, something bad is going to happen to you now because you stole the chair. I'm like, bro, why? Why?
Who was your DM with that voice? Was that Conan O'Brien?
I don't know. Malicious evil DM.
That was Conan O'Brien as a DM.
I guess.
Oh man, that's great.
But
I feel like it's like bard syndrome though. Like everybody expects the bard to seduce absolutely everything that they can. So everybody expects the rogue to steal absolutely everything from everybody. Like, and some DMs do allow that, but I don't think that's fair. Like if some I was like you had potions for instance or something that you spent a lot of money and time on to get them, or perhaps role playing as a herbalist and you actually made them. To just have a player be able to roll to steal them and just take them from you, it just doesn't seem fair.
Nah, but how would you counter actually allowing a player to enjoy stealing to where they don't have to play the nice guy and be like, oh, I'm trying to not steal anymore, and I only steal when necessary. And yet they have a high thievery, like really, really super high, to the point where it's like, if someone was to blink for a split second, all of the clothes that are on that person are now in the thief's pocket, yet they are trying to basically play the nice guy thief. And
very simple,
I'm just
very simple, but intricate, I'd say. Like different cities, you got to make it interesting for the thief. You have to make it interesting that they want to steal stuff, but not want to steal everything. So obviously, the bigger the item, the harder it is to steal. The time of day, the time of day matters, but also make it so that punishments are more or less severe in certain areas, and things like that. And then I think then you'll get rid of more of the nice thief who doesn't or excuse me, rogue. It depends on your edition, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think those type of things would make it so it's an interesting mechanic, so that they would get out of that stereotype of being the nice, I don't steal, unless I absolutely have to, type thief.
Yeah.
I can see a thief merchant, they swindle the customer out of coin when the customer is looking at the goods, and maybe even some of the goods are fake knockoffs, but the customer doesn't know. I can see thievery that way even.
Like, I feel like, I've ran into basically the same two types of thieves, and I am also guilty of playing the nice guy thief because I'm having to be overly cautious, literally because of the DM. And I lean over to Baldur's Gate and I'm just like, I have fun doing this. Like, I have fun, stealing. If I'm able to succeed everything, it feels very rewarding and whatnot to, take things and whatnot. Like, I'm not promoting this, by the way.
Yeah,
do not do this in real life.
You sound like a flippin' klepto. You're over there stealing everything, huh?
No, but it's
How many library
It's-
books have you not returned yet?
Let's not talk about my book collection.
Oh man.
Let's just say our wizard now is very well read.
Awesome.
But I don't know, like looking at the differences between the two and stuff, it's like I think that I do need to bring up Baldur's Gate is probably a good way for DMs that are unsure how to do things can actually look towards it a little bit and try to adjust certain mechanics to help them, like thievery and whatnot. Because
No.
that
What's that, Anthony?
he robotically said no.
Oh. Oh.
Immediately disagreeing with me.
Oh, he left. He really disagreed with you.
Yeah.
He's like,
He was just like, "Wow." He disagreed with me so hard that he just left. I'm like, bruh.
oh, there he is.
No. DM should not look at Baldur's Gate 3 on how to be a thief.
I'm not saying fully, but I am saying, hey,
Take some
this
lessons.
is actually fun. Like, try not to take away the fun of it.
Yeah, the way I like to make rogues like have different mini games. For instance, like lock picking. Like you know how most games you see like there's 3 or 4 different tumblers or whatever, and you got to keep like if you're playing on a joypad, you got to find the sweet spot and then hit it, and then like go pop one up or something like that. Like I try to do that in like phases. So like a hard door will have like 3 phases. So each phase that you pass, like something will happen, bad or good, depending on how many successes or fails you had, determines the situation as it happens. Whether you open the door without a hitch, whether it takes some time, whether you break your lockpick, and jam the door and you can't open it unless you force the door open, or maybe a patrol comes along the way, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you like games like Dishonored, Thief, Splinter Cell? Do you like those types of games too?
Never played any of them.
Liz,
Oh,
Liz doesn't play those.
okay.
I do, though.
Okay.
And I have a love-hate relationship with them.
Okay, all right. Have you used the Oculus since you got it?
Not as much as I would like.
That was my problem too. Too much work. Now I'm working even more, and then I'm making more, extra stuff for the campaigns, and then I'm working on Resident still too. So that's like, and then Callie's back in school now. So yeah.
Yep. And then now Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah. Baldur's Gate 3, which I'm about to play after we finish talking, I think.
Well, look, there's something you can do with them, Liz, if you want.
Well,
Yeah, if you want to, that'd be cool. I'm all for it.
I'm all cool to play some Baldur's Gate.
As long as you don't mind that it's gonna also be on my channel.
Now you're asking too much.
Well,
Sure.
oh, you had me. That deception check was way better than my insight. No. Oh. All right. Well, I guess we should probably wrap it up. Unless, well, Anthony, do you have any closing comments? Since Liz gave hers about the rogue, and it was pretty.
Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate again. Yeah, it's a good discussion. I mean,
Yeah.
All right,
it was fun.
here's my
Here's
my closing statement.
Yes.
For those of you that are out there that are listening upon the tube of you. If you wish to have a D&D experience without having to play D&D or find people, play Baldur's Gate 3. And for players out there that wish to play Dungeons and Dragons but can't because they don't have friends, go play Baldur's Gate 3. And for the forever DMs that want to play as a player, go play Baldur's Gate 3.
That's me raising my hand there. Yes. That's why I love it. That's my favorite part about it. I just gotta get the mechanics of it down.
They are very, very similar to 5e. And for those that don't know how to play Dungeons and Dragons but would like to, now I'm not saying that this is word for word and whatnot, but it is a good way of getting a grasp on what is possible in a normal Dungeons and Dragons game is by playing Baldur's Gate 3 as it's just only limited by, of course, the choices in which the game is limited to, but at least it gives you the sense of what to expect in a Dungeons and Dragons game.
Liz, that's what you
We
said
swear
earlier,
we're not
isn't it?
sponsored.
So, in my concluding statement is go play Baldur's Gate 3.
We're not sponsored.
We're not sponsored by Larry and Sirius.
No, not yet. Although I wouldn't mind it. I haven't even played any of the Divinity games at all. I've owned them before, but I've never played them, and I've never owned them legitly. I'm sad to say.
Look, we will do an entire talk all about Baldur's Gate. Like, if we get all the way through the game and whatnot, we'll do an entire talk. If we get sponsored. Sponsor?
Sponsor?
I wish they made a multiplayer Witcher.
Oh, that would be lovely.
They did. It's called Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh my god, shut up.
No, I'm talking about the actual Witcher, like the world. Like, of course, you don't have to be Geralt and all that stuff, but like like make it so that it's pretty cool.
Oh, in that case, it's called Elden Ring.
I've never played it.
It's Dark Souls, but for multiplayer.
All right. Well, let's end this tavern talk so we can go play some Baldur's Gate there, Yandari.
Hey, since Withers has his wardrobe, do you want to invite me to your main one, or do you want to make a completely new one?
We can make a new one because I want to pick a different class based on how many actual human beings I have in the party.
Cool.
Because I don't. Well, I didn't know that it was going to give you so much control of your allies when I made my main character. Because, really, your main character doesn't really even have. Doesn't have much voice to him. So, it's like all the other characters are actually the main character. And you're just like along for the journey.
Yeah. Which does suck. Like, I kind of wish that the character had something akin to, Shepard. From Mass Effect, where basically you could choose the line of dialogue, and then all of a sudden you get the character talking.
Yeah.
And you get to see the character moving around and talking. Also, like,
Well, I have to depart, so I'm gonna say goodbye, everybody.
I miss you already.
See you,
All right.
dude. Thanks
Bye.
Thank you for being here.
Of course.
All right, see you.
Alrighty.
So what were you saying?
Basically, like, Bigby from Wolf Among Us, he talks, Shepard, he talks. Like, I do wish that the main character did talk, a bit more and stuff like that. But at the same time, if I'm in a like full on roleplay mode and I'm sitting there just role playing with whoever I'm in call with and we're both playing the game,
Yeah.
I sometimes want to just jump in there and talk for my character. So it's kind of a love-hate of like, I want my character to talk fully, but also I don't. I want the option to sometimes shut it off.
Huh. Oh, pardon me.
Oh, you sound already tired.
Oh yeah, I am, but I still want to play for like, an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Sounds good. That's probably the amount of time it's going to take for my thing to load.
Oh, wow.
Oh, the loading time with this, I'm just like, I hate how long it takes.
Alright, everybody, I'll catch you later. Thanks for watching. Have yourselves a great night. Yandari, I'll talk to you in a little bit.